Forget what the documentaries told you. The Waffen SS didn't fight a Pacific War in 1944-45 as formed units, and the paper trail for SS field hacks on islands is thin to non-existent. But improvising ammunition under supply collapse? That part is real, across armies. Labels got swapped, belts got rebuilt, powder got tuned with a knife and a tin. Regulations said don't. Heat, rust, and hunger said do it anyway. These are the 7 illegal ammo field hacks in the Pacific, 1944 to 1945. Number 7. Relabeling and relinking captured rounds. When mismatched calibers became an advantage, German and Japanese small arms doctrine was allergic to mystery ammunition. Lot numbers mattered, head stamps mattered, belts and clips were supposed to stay factory correct, because one wrong round could stop an MG or split a chamber. In German terms, the rule was simple: issue what fits the weapon. Don't make it fit. In the Pacific, the real constraint was that there were almost no verified Waffen SS garrisons to do this in the first place. Where German personnel were actually present, U-boat crews, naval specialists, and a few liaison staff in Japanese-held ports earlier in the war. The documented improvisation you can reliably support comes from Japanese units and desperate mixed detachments. Relinking captured 7.7 mm and 6.5 mm into whatever feed system they had, and repainting crates to match local accounting. It sometimes helped the only way it could, by keeping a gun firing for another night. But the failure mode was immediate and ugly. Wrong rim geometry in a feedway meant stoppages. Wrong cartridge in a chamber meant ruptured cases. Improvisation bought minutes. It could also cost fingers. Number 6. Recrimping and reseating bullets. Reshaped precision under pressure. Factory crimp and seating depth aren't decorative. They control pressure. They control feeding. German manuals treated tampering with service cartridges as prohibited outside armorers and ammunition personnel, and Japanese practice was similar. Ammunition was meant to be issued and fired, not rebuilt at squad level. Again, for Waffen SS specifically in the Pacific in 1944-45, hard documentation is the problem. What you can ground historically is the broader reality: isolated troops in humid climates fighting misfires and bullet setback. Men used pliers, a bayonet point, or a punch and a rock to reseat bullets that had crept forward in rough handling, or to tighten a loose neck that let a projectile wobble. The logic was rational. A cartridge that won't chamber is dead weight. When it worked, it restored feeding in rifles and light machine guns long enough to get through a contact. When it failed catastrophically. Too deep seating spiked pressure. A distorted case mouth tore on extraction. The fixed round became the one you feared to fire, but sometimes you fired it anyway. Number 5. Adapting tracer, API mixes for night defense. Invisible in the night, deadly by dawn. Ammunition mixes were supposed to be deliberate. Tracer ratios were specified for observation and fire correction, and armor-piercing or incendiary types were allocated by role and target set. Commanders wanted control because tracers cut both ways. They show hits, and they show where you are. In island fighting, night defense punished neat doctrine. Tracer could be a liability when you're trying to stay unseen, and a necessity when you need to stitch a lane through darkness. The historically defensible pattern, across Japanese garrisons and any attached foreign personnel, was selective loading, pushing tracer toward the end of magazines or belts as a last-ditch marker, or clustering API where it might bite into light cover or ignite fuel stores. You didn't need a workshop. You needed time, and hands that could still feel small parts. It sometimes worked exactly as intended. Tracer at the end signaled imminent empty and pulled fire onto a lane. But it also drew return fire like a string tied to your position. And API in the wrong place could cook off near your own ammunition, turning a defense into a chain reaction. Number 4. Makeshift waterproofing techniques. From moisture curse to moisture cure. Moisture control was supposed to be handled by packaging, not field chemistry. Sealed tins, lacquered primers, and disciplined storage were the official answer. Troops were instructed to keep ammunition off the ground, keep it shaded, and avoid contaminating primers and powder with oil or solvent. tropical reality didn't care. In jungle humidity, cartridges sweated. Clips rusted. Paper wraps turned to pulp. The improvisations that are actually documented in Pacific conditions, mostly in Japanese accounts and Allied intelligence notes on captured stocks, were brutally simple. Wax, grease, bicycle inner tube rubber, resin, even lacquer scraped from equipment to seal primer pockets and case mounts. Some men kept loaded magazines in oiled cloth despite the risk, because a dry cartridge that cycles beats a perfect one that won't ignite. Success looked boring. Fewer hangfires, fewer green corroded primers, more rounds that went bang. Failure looked like dead guns. Oil migration could kill primers. Sticky cartridges could seize in a chamber. Waterproofing kept you alive, until it quietly made your ammunition unreliable. Before we move on, if you had to choose, what's the least bad gamble? Reworking a cartridge with hand tools, or firing questionable factory ammo that's been soaking in jungle humidity for weeks? Tell us below, and subscribe. The top 3 get even riskier. Number 3. Downloading MG belts to reduce jams. Less ammunition, more firepower. Belt-fed guns were supposed to be fed the way the factory and the manuals intended. Correct links, correct belt length, clean feedways. German doctrine leaned hard on sustained fire, and Japanese doctrine valued the gun that could keep a lane locked down. In both systems, altering issued belts wasn't a clever trick. It was a way to create unknowns. But a tropical island turned unknowns into daily life. Belts got dragged through sand. Links corroded. Feed pawls ran gritty. So men downloaded, not by changing the round itself, but by changing the belt. They'd strip every 5th cartridge to reduce drag, or shorten long belts into smaller segments that could be kept cleaner and handled faster in a cramped position. Some would re-link by hand with improvised punches, trying to keep the bad links out of the run. It could work. A gun that choked every few bursts suddenly ran smoothly for a minute that mattered. And it could backfire. A lighter belt changed the rhythm of firing and reloading, and those missing rounds showed up as empty seconds at the worst time. The jam you avoided became the firepower you didn't have. Number 2. Swapping powder charges in rifle cartridges. The forbidden arithmetic of pressure. Powder charge wasn't a suggestion. It was a measured load matched to a specific bullet, case, and primer, tested for pressure and velocity. Regulations treated opening service cartridges as sabotage by accident. Once powder was exposed to moisture, contamination, or bad measurement, you weren't fixing ammunition. You were making a bomb. And yet under supply collapse, men did the math anyway. A misfiring lot, damp cartridges, or mixed head stamps pushed some to pull bullets, dump powder, and rebuild best rounds from the least bad components. Tools were crude. Bullet pulled with pliers or a notched stick. Powder poured into a tin, then pinched back by eye, sometimes mixing types without knowing it. The goal was simple: get consistent ignition and keep pressure from spiking. Sometimes the gamble paid off. A rifle that had been giving hangfires returned to reliable shots for a patrol. But the failure mode was unforgiving. Too much powder, or the wrong burn rate, and cases split or bolts locked up. Too little, and you got a stuck bullet in the bore followed by the next round, if you didn't notice in time. Number 1. Repurposing signal, flare components. When emergency light became an explosive shortcut, signal flares had a job, and it wasn't killing anyone. They were issued with strict handling rules because the compositions were unstable, hot burning, and not made to sit behind a bullet in a steel chamber. Doctrine separated signaling stores from combat ammunition for a reason: different chemistry, different failure modes. Island warfare blurred that separation. In positions cut off from resupply, men scavenged flare and signal components for anything useful. Composition could be scraped out and used to boost ignition in damp conditions, or packed into improvised charges for booby traps and harassing blasts. You see versions of this across the Pacific: Japanese field expedients, Allied notes on captured devices, and the universal logic of use what burns. It wasn't elegant. It was what fit in a hand and could be carried in a pocket. It sometimes worked in the narrowest sense. A makeshift device could deny a trail or signal a withdrawal when radios died. But it also killed the user. Flare compounds could detonate during scraping, or burn too fast in confined space, turning a fix into shrapnel at arm's length. Improvisation didn't ask permission, it asked for skin. Across all of these illegal fixes, the pattern is embarrassingly human. Institutions designed ammunition to be predictable. War made it wet, mixed, corroded, and scarce. So people bent rules with pliers, wax, and bad guesses, trying to turn uncertainty into something they could fire, feed, or carry. If you want World War II history without simplification or mythology, subscribe. Brass and Blitz stays with the uncomfortable details. What was issued, what was actually used, and what it cost in the moment.